Oi, and welcome back to Seaside Garage. Just to clarify, to begin with, this is not my car. I have agreed to get this car through an MOT because it's going to be sold, and it's always more easy to sell a car with a fresh MOT than one with an old one. This is a classic car, so there is 8 years in between the MOTs, and I think it got a couple of years, or maybe 3. And 4 or 5 years on a Mini is a long time because they can rust away in a couple of years actually. This one is nearly perfect. But when it comes to selling it, it would be nice to have a fresh MOT. What I'm going to do is some small stuff, some rather weird stuff actually, but it is not charging at all. There is no output from the generator. That's one thing. Another thing is, this is the key for it, but it's still running unless I switch off the lights. Then it switches off. That's not supposed to be like that either. And then the last thing, and I don't know if this will pick up, but listen to the sound the engine makes when I press down the clutch. I think it will pick up. It's rather loud. The throwout bearing on this is completely shot and has been like that for many years. But this is not a nice sound when you go to look at a car you want to buy, and these are not cheap anymore, so first impressions are important. So I will try to fix those things and then go to the MOT. It really drives nicely though. The battery is underneath the passenger seat on this one. As you can see, I think you can see it, it reads 12.24, which is low, and it shouldn't be because it's a new battery, but it has been driven for a while. So this should read a lot higher, actually. 2.6 is better. Then let's try to start it up. Then we should see it rise if the generator is working. Now it's actually fallen because the engine is taking some power to run. But if I rev it a little bit, you will notice that nothing happens. So I'm going to try to see if I can figure out why that is. So I'm pretty sure that, yeah, let's see. Oh yeah. So setting up my DVON or multimeter or whatever it's called to do this, I can look for continuity. So I'm going to take the plug like that. Okay, so we're having an issue apparently in this connection. And I've said this before, but I'm no expert at electrical work. So there could be easier ways to do this, but if it works, it works. We just don't know yet. But I have found something down here. As you can see, the brown wires from the alternator goes down here and into that starter relay thingy. And then right here, it's spliced together with red wires. So I'm gonna start investigating this area because very often the problem is at connections. I'm gonna go ahead and connect one side of my probe to the line on the alternator. I'm gonna find the brown wires, they are right here, but I'm gonna pierce the rubber right here. Yeah, we got a connection right here. And I know we do not have a connection at the other end of the red wire, right up here. Let's test just on the other side of this heat shrink connection. Just pierce the wire. Nothing. We have no connection from here to here. I'm gonna get a blade and then cut up this because I think our issue is right there. Well, maybe that's the problem. It just came apart completely. How is this supposed to be fitted together is my next question. Oh, by the way, the battery is disconnected at the moment. I forgot to show you that. But it's not a good idea to do stuff like this with power connected because, yeah, you could get a shock, but more importantly, you could burn the wiring down. So I think the first fix is going to be rather easy because this is the problem. I really don't know how it was supposed to be. Maybe, I think it has been soldered a little bit, but yeah, it hasn't worked. I'm going to resolder that connection. But I have now resoldered the connection and I'm going to heat shrink it. So now let's do the same test as we did before. One probe in the connector to the alternator. Haha! That's working. I'm gonna tape them up once again because I removed all the old tape. The multimeter is connected once again. Now let's try to see if we can fire it up, and then I expect it to rise. I really hope so. And I really think so. Let's try. It's still just showing around 12, but let's try to rev it a bit. Oh yeah! I can also hear the generator is working because the battery is really low. 14 volts. That's perfect. It's working. Can you see it? Nice. First job done. Good morning. As you can see, the Saab is outside and it has been raining so much all through the night, so it's a lot cleaner already. That's nice. So today I'm going to continue on the work on the pickup. And what I'm going to do now is, and I actually already started, is to remove the bell housing, I think it's called, the cover plate for the clutch where the release bearing is located. And all that I'm going to do is to disconnect the clutch arm, release all the bolts, remove the lower engine mount down there and support the engine with a jack. Then I should be able to take this off. I'm going to do that real quick and then take you back when I'm done with that. And then we're going to take a look at that release bearing because I think it's really bad. So this job is not difficult from a technical perspective, but because of the lack of space and my rather big hands, it is a problem. It's taking some time to find the best way to loosen up all these nuts or bolts going around the clutch cover plate. It is definitely possible, but it's difficult. So it's very difficult to film anything down here because of the lack of space, and also this car is so well protected. I have never seen anything like it. It got wax everywhere. The front bridge, which tends to rust, and these looks brand new, and then it's just covered by millimeters of that waxy stuff, which is great, but it is quite dirty to work on. So I think that we are there now, but I need to get this back in as well. But one step at a time. I wonder if I can get this one out without having to remove the starter relay. That was difficult as well. It's out. And this is the bearing that we need to change. All that work for that little noisy bearing. So I cleaned up the inside of the bell, and now I need to remove this retainer clip so I can change the bearing. Like that. And a new bearing. Let's take the old off. And the new one. It's gonna make a pretty big difference, this. Like this. So I'm going to fit this back on the car, and then that job should be done. I'm gonna spare you the refitting process. It's once again pretty easy, but it's going to take a long time. I got pretty much everything back in. That lower engine mount, I don't know if it's supposed to have captive nuts on the backside, but this one didn't, so I had to put a nut on, and a nylon lock nut on the backside. That was how it was before. Getting the hose into that tight space down there was so incredibly difficult. I had to use a plier to get the nut in position, and then it was so tough. All my bones are broken, I think. Anyway, this should be done now. But I also seem to have found the issue with the car not shutting off when the lights are on, because we haven't, as you can see, it's a bit messier back here. It needs to be tidied up really. But what I found out is the ignition wire that is connected by an extra wire to the light switch. So when you switch on the light, it will backfeed power into the ignition coil. I think someone has had a hard time remembering to shut off the lights when switching the car off, because it didn't do it by itself. In Denmark, you have to drive with the lights always. So in old cars, you really often forget to do that, to switch them off, and then the battery drains, of course. So I think someone got sick of that and then did it this way, which is a pretty weird way of doing it, but it seems to work. So I'm just going to cut that wire, and it should be back to normal. And to reconnect the battery, like that. Okay, so I think I got all the things fixed that I wanted to fix today. Firstly, it's the clutch release bearing. You can hear a little bit of a whine right now. I'm pretty sure that's the generator producing a lot of power, thereby the fan belt is slipping a little bit because it hasn't produced power for a long time, so the battery is low. So that sounds great. There's no sound from the clutch release mechanism at all. It's completely silent. Oh yeah, and the last thing I almost forgot. Let's test if the car now switches off with the key, even though the lights are on. Lights on. Key off. Yes. This car will be up for sale very soon, but remember, it's not mine, it's my friend's. But still, if you're interested in it, then contact me on Instagram. I will write down in the description if the car is sold. So please go and look there before writing me. And then I will make sure to give you the contact information on the actual seller. So thank you for watching and see you in the next one.